Welcome back to our prospect rankings. This time we're going over the cornerback class. I'm going to give you my top 10, along with some guys that I think should return. But what's crack-lacking? It is your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave that thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. But yeah, I got a 3-round mock on the channel. If you haven't checked it out, go take a look at that. It's a lot of fun. But let's go ahead, take a look at guys that I think should return. And I'm going to start with Nehemiah, is it Pritchett? The Auburn corner, the other Auburn corner next to Roger McCreary. He just needs a little more, I think, time in the oven, but I think there's something there. Storm Duck, unfortunately, he's been hurt this season. He did return, I think, like week 12 or week 11, but such an injury-ridden year. I really think he does need to come back. Josh DeBerry, dude, out of Boston College, I actually like a ton. I think he could maybe be like an early day 3 guy, but I think he could come back and be a day 2. Maybe even sneak into the first round, but we'll see. Jamari Brown out of Purdue has been wonderful this year. Just, again, it's a stacked corner class, so I feel like it's better luck coming back. Tyreek Stevenson, the Miami corner, former Georgia corner. Just, again, I think he needs a return. Sheridan Jones, the other Clemson corner. He's just, he does need a return. He's been outplayed by a variety of different corners on Clemson's roster. Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State. Again, stat class, comeback, return. Cameron Brown out of Ohio State. I think he's been the best corner there for Ohio State, and I really think he could really help his draft stock by returning. Avery Young out of Rutgers. Really hope this guy might just transfer because he's actually been pretty darn good this year as well. Let's go ahead and get into the top 10, starting with Jalen Armour-Davis out of Alabama, the other Alabama corner. Josh Jobe not going to make the list. He hasn't been good this year. He's actually been particularly bad. Just going to say that. But this cat, what's going to hurt him the most is sample size when it's all said and done. He's only, like, coming into this year, he only had 92 career snaps. Unfortunately, he's senior, so he's going to need a strong off-season draft process, which I think he could have, dude. He's got good length, and he's a very natural athlete. I really like how smooth his hips are. He's got really clean footwork, too, especially in his back pedal. Or at least his back pedal when needed to turn and go. It's very smooth. He has allowed no touchdowns on the season with 3 interceptions, 3 pass breakups. He did miss the Auburn game recently. Not that I think it mattered much because Auburn offensively is just not that good of a team. But I wouldn't say he really has ball skills. These pass breakups and interceptions are more right place at the right time when you go back and watch his tape. So I don't really think it's actual ball skills. But again, we haven't seen a ton of them. So maybe he does have those ball skills. Maybe there's a reason. But still, it's encouraging that seeing this early on in his first taste of significant time there at Alabama in the SEC. His short area quickness, very good. Very good. He plays the run very well. Makes me think he could probably play in the slot, but he only has 79 career snaps in the slot. So another guy I'm rooting for that I'm probably going to be a bit higher on than some people. And until, my dreams are just dashed during the off-season process. Let's go ahead to number 9, Kyler Gordon. This guy's going to move up my list. He's been wonderful. He made Bruce Feldman's Freaks list at the beginning of the year for his explosiveness, his agility. Tells me he's going to probably set the combine on fire when it comes to his vert and some of the agility drills. So I can't wait to see how he tests out. But he displays a really good change of direction, good short area quickness. Your typical Washington corner type stuff. He makes plays. His ball skills are legit. He's constantly contesting the catch point. He's allowed a catch rate of only 51.2% with 2 interceptions, 6 pass breakups this year. He's doing this opposite of Trent McDuffie, who teams actively don't throw his way. So Kyler Gordon, man, he's seeing some volume, and he's doing good. Now, you do see a bit of inexperience in coverage. Occasionally, he doesn't necessarily trust his eyes. Trust what he sees, I should say, enough, which allows him to be a bit slower to react in. But again, that you see that explosiveness pop on tape because he gets to the catch point fairly quickly. So I imagine those pass breakups, once he starts getting more comfortable with believing what he's seeing, with his reads, his processing, those pass breakups will turn into interceptions. I fully believe that. Like this cat got listed as second rounder, man, and he's just moving up. I don't know if he cracks the first round. It'll be interesting, though, because the physical traits are very enticing. Good long field speed, tracks the ball very well in air. Do wish he'd be a bit more physical considering his size at, 6 foot, 200 pounds, but I think part of that is just how their coverage scheme is. They play a lot of off-ball. So on to number 8, Derion Kendrick. Could slip. Again, the character concerns are pretty concerning because, let's go, a history lesson. He used to play for Clemson just last year. So let's talk about why he left. No one knows. He just randomly left. The thing is, Dabo Sweeney, he had nothing but nice things to say about him, which was like, okay, it is what it is. Why it's a bit questionable why he left. I'm glad to hear that. And then he gets arrested, and it was just boneheaded. Like, it was, let's see, specifically, it was a drug and gun charge, right? An unlawful gun charge. He basically was caught parked with his gun on his lap, which sometimes I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt to some of these gun charges because when you're going between states, how gun laws change. But this was in his hometown. This was in South Carolina. You know the gun laws. You at least should if you're a gun owner. And then obviously the possession of marijuana. It's just a bonehead decision all around. He was suspended 1 game last year or with Clemson, unknown. But again, Dabo, he had nice things to say about him. So he's gonna have some character stuff to answer for during the interviews. But he's played very well. I like his brand of his style. His brand of play in general. He's always in the hip pocket of receivers. You go back to the 2019 National Championship game, and I'd say that Derion Kendrick played Jamar Chase better than A.J. Terrell. Now, granted, Jamar Chase, he's kind of an elite receiver, and he was winning, but I would say Kendrick challenged him more at the catch point than Terrell did. Now, he hasn't faced many speedsters this year in the SEC, so it's fair to wonder how he can handle guys with burners, because last time he faced a guy with legit burners, it was Chris Olave, who just flat out beat Kendrick multiple times in 2020. He gave up 122 yards in coverage to him, and opposed to that, the rest of the season, he only allowed 105 yards. So in that one outing, he really struggled. He's been pretty darn good this year. He has, week in, week out, it's been shut down. He did have the Tennessee game. He got kind of caught, gave up, 150 receiving yards. Hasn't allowed a touchdown, though, this whole season. Did come away with interception in that matchup, but still, something to worry about. More so, I'm more concerned about the character stuff. That's the big concern for me. But I like how this guy tracks the ball in air very well and how he's white on rice when it comes to receivers. Martin Emerson is number 7. He has been shut down all last year. He was pure shutdown. He only allowed 306 yards on 306 yards on 33 receptions. Allowed a touchdown. This was on 59 targets. He ended the season with 12 pass breakups, constantly at the catch point, because you'll note this guy, great length. This season, he's allowed 29 receptions for 358 yards. Has allowed 3 touchdowns, is on 44. So it seems like a bit of a down year. He only has 2 pass breakups on the year, but he is coming off a very impressive game against Ole Miss this past weekend where he didn't allow a reception on 5 targets, came away with a pass breakup in that game. He isn't a speedy athlete. I don't think he's going to test out like Carson Dantzler or Cameron Dantzler did. I think he's going to be faster than that, but still, speed will be a concern. Where this guy wins is with length, physicality, putting his hands on the receiver and just how he processes the field, man. It's great. He is constantly at the catch point. He's only allowed a 58% catch rate. He's played in a variety of different coverages there with Zach Arnett as the defensive coordinator of Mississippi State. He's one of the best tackling corners in this class. He had 23 stops in 2020. He has a 9.3 missed tackle rate this year, which is pretty good. I'm just a huge fan of him all around. Wouldn't surprise me if he snuck into the first round. Then on to number 6. Andrew Booth, he's probably going to move up. The thing was, he hasn't really turned it on until late. Now, Booth was limited to 333 snaps in 2020. He didn't have many starts, but he saw plenty of action in 2020. He had no real big outings, but he played Ohio State exceptionally well. He does a very good job of mirroring receivers because he's a phenomenal athlete, and he's got very fluid hips. His footwork superb. I do think he was good. He needs a bit more time in the. I don't know. Like I like using that phrase, time in the cooker, time in the oven. He needs a little more. He's still a little raw again because he coming to the season he only had I think 400 some career snaps, but he's come on turn late. He's come on lately. Now let's talk about the first part of the year because 2021 wasn't really his year to begin with. We saw him have issues with bigger and more physical receivers. Go to the NC State game with Emeka Emzi going for 6 receptions, 60 yards, and a touchdown, just constantly winning at the catch point. However, he has turned it around the last 4 weeks, only allowing 4 receptions on 11 targets. It's gone for 93 yards. He's had 3 interceptions, 2 pass breakups during that time. Legitimately wonderful. When he drops back into zone, he does get a bit aggressive. He likes to jump routes early, so occasionally he falls to the double move. Athletically, though, he's got good closing speed. I would say this guy's more calculated than throwing caution to the wind, similar to Jalen Johnson when he came out of Utah. This guy, if he finishes the year strong, he will move up for me and probably will move up in general because I could see one of these guys at least really falling based on his play as of late. Number 5, Roger McCreary. He has been wonderful. Roger McCreary is a very veteran corner there at Auburn. He has over 2,200 career snaps with over 1,900 of those coming on the outside. I like this guy's length. He's very explosive. While speed-wise, I don't think he's got elite tools, but he's very wise. He doesn't struggle too much in coverage regardless of who he's covering, and we'll get to it later where I thought maybe there was a struggle, but last 2 seasons he's only allowed 56 receptions for 700 yards, 6 touchdowns, and that's on 98 targets. Those are 2 seasons. That's 57% catch rate, 4 interceptions, 15 pass breakups. This season he brought that catch rate down to 45.3. 2 interceptions, 13 pass breakups. This guy's constantly contesting the catch point. He's been spectacular. He also plays the run very well. He protects the perimeter well. He limits gains. Even if you catch it underneath, you're not going for extra yardage against him. He only has a 11% missed tackle rate over his career, which is really good for a corner. His route recognition really justifies his ball skills. This guy knows when to jump routes. His route just his understanding of route concepts and just route anticipation, it's just really good, and he's just only growing more dangerous as the season goes on. Now, he did look shaky against Alabama initially against Jamison Williams, where he was targeted 4 times, only allowed 1 reception, but also one of those should have been a pass interference, one of those incompletions. It just didn't get called. So I was kind of scared that maybe he would struggle a lot with that type of speed. Because keep in mind, Jamison Williams has one of the best burners in this class. He's going to be contesting Olave for top spot when it comes to vertical burners. But because of a targeting call, Williamson, he had to leave the game early. So now he went one-on-one with John Mechie a lot in this game. And I like what he was doing because Mechie can't handle physicality too well. So McCreary was like, all right, let's do it, man. Let's do it. Let's go one-on-one. Let's do the dang thing. And I thought he was very good. The only time Mechie was catching stuff on him was underneath. and quick passes, and they were going for not a lot of gains. He was targeted 13 times when facing Mechie. He only allowed 6 receptions and went for 84 yards, which sounds like a big number, but it's not that bad, especially when you consider the type of separator that Mechie could be. You know that he was getting caught. So these were like, okay, like I think he allowed 4 first downs on these 6 receptions. So these were like gains of like 12, 13, 14 yards. But he had 4 pass breakups in that game. He also, one of those plays, because he was he was like just on Mechie, that it forced an interception to his teammate by Darius Knighton. It forced the interception his way. So this cat is good, man. Roger McCreary is good. Coming to the season, I was a little bit worried about sometimes he releases a bit too early, and he's a bit slow flipping his hips and getting around, and that's why we talk about, might not necessarily have the most elite tools, but he's been a lot better about that this year. I really like him. On to number 4, Trent McDuffie. Huge fan. It's really hard to gauge where McDuffie may go, because I'd be willing to take McDuffie, maybe inside the top 20, but I could see him going maybe in the late first, just because of a few reasons. Like, he has great ball movement, or great movement skills, really aided by this guy's very explosive out of his breaks. The short area quickness is superb. Taking into account this guy's tackling, phenomenal. Only 6 missed tackles his whole career. Really an ideal zone corner. And there at Washington, they play a lot of off coverage. Now, I worry about his launch speed and his length. So if he is in man coverage, how will he deal with maybe a more physical vertical threat? So there is that concern, but like, there's a reason why this guy I list him as a first rounder. They don't throw his way. He's great Marin skills. So like, he's on these guys really tight. He has been a shutdown corner the minute he stepped foot on campus. He's allowed a career best this season in terms of his catch rate of 44.4%. He has 5 breakups to boot this year. It's still hard to tell if he has ball skills just because they don't throw his way, but he's been outstanding, man. Very outstanding. And then number 3, Ahmad Gardner, the sauce. I'm lost in the sauce, and I'll be honest with you, I think sauce might end up my number 2 corner. I really was flip-flopping between him and my number 2, and my number 2 has had a rough 2 weeks, and we'll get into him in a second. But Gardner is one of the best press man coverage corners in all of college football. On 132 targets, he has not allowed a touchdown. His completion rate when targeted, 42.4%. He has 9 interceptions, 17 pass breakups through his career. His playing style, very physical, and you see that during his time there at Cincinnati, he's been called on 14 penalties. So far, only 2 this year. Only 2. So, improvement. I like that. That's big improvement, too. Now, and it's just this guy uses his hands exceptionally well. I love his length. He put on some bulk during the offseason. He got up to 200 pounds. I think he was initially 185 before that. So he's a little thinner, but the man put on some muscle, especially in the arm area. Them arms looking good. They ain't 22-inch pythons, but for a corner, them some big arms. But speed's going to be a concern. But again, I love the mentality of, okay, you're fast, but you're only going to be as fast as I allow you, because I'm going to put my hands on you. I'm going to lay hands on you, and you're not going to go anywhere. This is it. Done. There's a reason why I've only allowed a 42% completion percentage, dude. Get out of here. He isn't just a man corner. With his type of wingspan, like, he's gonna be a problem in zone coverage as well, just clogging up passing lanes. I like this cat a lot. Kaiir Elam, number 2. Let's talk the good. He's one of the best, I would say, press coverage corners in this class as well. He's got good length, exceptional ball skills, 6 interceptions, 15 pass breakups through his whole career, while allowing a 46.4% completion rate. He held Devontae Smith to 3 receptions, 23 yards in 2020. He plays a very physical brand of coverage. Just really remains in the hip pocket of receivers. He doesn't have elite speed. It's very good speed, though. I think he's going to be maybe like a low or a high 4.4 guy. Or low 4.4, like 4.45, maybe 4.47. I think he's going to be in that area. Honestly, if he's better than that, he's very smooth too, very smooth athlete. He's very much improved tackler this season. After missing 13 tackles in 2020, he's only missed 3 this year. He is much more than just a willing participant in the run game. He is a plus defender in run defense. Like, he doesn't get hung up on receivers trying to block him. Now, let's talk about these last 2 or 3 games with Kaiir Elam. Because, oh boy, Samson gave him trouble. And I don't mean Samson a person, I mean Samson the college, where he allowed 5 receptions. Granted, this was on 11 targets. It only went for 26 yards, but still, it was like, this is Samson, you're really going to allow that? The following week against Mizzou, he was pretty solid. Only allowed 2 receptions for 9 yards. But Florida State gave him problems, man. Gave him problems. And even earlier in the year against Alabama, while he was pretty darn good against Bama, he ended up getting beat on like a 20-yard touchdown, which was like, come on. And then against LSU, like, anytime they threw his way, it was caught. And he ended up giving up a touchdown in that game too. So, like, this year just hasn't been his year. It's easily been his worst year, but he's still been pretty darn good. But by his standard, it should be a lot better. Number 1, you should already know, Derek Stingley, athletic freak. Broken ankle. It's going to have him out for the remainder of the season. The ankle is something to monitor. He had an ankle injury in 2020 as well. So it's worrisome. It's just worrisome. It's something that's going to need to be checked out at the combine. But, like, in terms of his athleticism, elite. This guy's going to be a 4.3 40 guy. He's a 42-inch vertical, elite speed, elite acceleration, elite size, elite length. He has these top 10 traits for a shutdown corner. We talked about this with, like, C.J. Henderson when he came into the draft, where it was like, while I don't think his production was pretty, it was similar to Kaiir Elam. It was pretty up and down, but you saw the ball skills. You know, he had those traits. It caused him to be picked in the top 10. Stingley, he has a much better production, and he has those traits in spades. Like, this guy's good, dude. He could shadow anybody, any of the opposing receivers for the team. Oh, sounds like my baby's getting changed and she's not happy about it. But even in a down year in 2020, he allowed a completion rate of 46.7%. He had 5 pass breakups. In 2019, freshman year, easily probably his best season, allowed a completion rate of 38.3% on 94 targets. So volume. They were thrown his way. 6 interceptions, 15 pass breakups. Let's talk about where he lost. Because people will be like, oh, I don't see the consistency. And it's literally 3 outings. There were 3 outings where people always bring up and they're unsure of. 2 of them came against Devontae Smith. Mind you, he was a Heisman Trophy winner. He was a first-round pick. Where in 2019, as a freshman, he was just lit up by Smith. The following year, he handled him better. He only allowed 3 receptions on 5 targets. Went for 4 yards. Unfortunately, one of those were a touchdown. Did come away with a pass breakup, though. In the opener versus UCLA, everyone wants to point to this game. He was beaten for a touchdown. What they won't say is like, oh, he was in the slot and off coverage. Something that he shouldn't be doing to begin with. This guy's an outside receiver. Get him up in the receiver's face. He was given off coverage against Kyle Phillips, who's a speedster, man. Ended up basically going underneath on like it was kind of not really a shallow drag. It was a drag that progressively went out. And free release on a guy that fast, like, I don't care how good your closing speed is, like, that's going to be a reception, and then he missed the tackle, which was kind of the thing. But still, you don't like it. His tackle rate has been good the last 2 seasons. I know hasn't been good this year, but he only played 3 games before missing the rest of the year with the broken ankle. But I really wouldn't consider 2021 an indictment on him as a tackler because he's been very solid throughout his whole career. But yeah, he's a top 5 prospect as long as everything checks out well with the ankle. Let me know, though, who are some of your top corners? Who should have made the list? Who should we be talking about? Why this list is wrong? Because I know you're thinking it. But until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.